Yeah, so 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Alex, welcome to the Dangerzone.
Hey, Dan. Thank you for having me. Really good to see you.
Yeah, dude. It is good to see you. Alex is a good friend of mine, and we've worked together in the past and deployed together to Afghanistan. And it was good times, and it's good time seeing you here. So
Yeah, I know it was a long drive to get here, but really, I guess thankful and grateful to be able to make it here, first of all. And I also want to say thank you for having me and showing me around Dallas and around downtowns and showing some good food, some good night sights, night lights, and bridges, which have no good pictures, but it's just always great to explore with you and always see showing good time and just enjoying your environment with you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem, dude. You never know until you go check it out.
That's for sure, dude.
Yeah. It could have been a great picture. It turned out it wasn't.
Yeah, I know. Maybe, yeah, for sure. But it was good walking back there.
Yeah.
For the interesting neighborhoods of Dallas and Texas. And I thought in Texas everybody's going to be like cowboys and Indians, but it's a little different.
No, yeah.
For sure.
Dallas is definitely a melting pot of different people from all over the place. But that brings us right into travel, dude. You've been doing a lot of traveling lately. I've been doing, I would say, a little bit of traveling. I mean, it's all dependent. Some people don't ever leave the town they came from.
Absolutely.
Let's just start out and dive into, like, what does travel mean to you? How important is it to you? And you had mentioned earlier today something about like self-discovery, using it as a tool to find out things about yourself.
No, absolutely. That's a great point you brought up. Traveling is, it's like life, dude. We travel for life, for our years in life, from the birth to the death. It's a journey. I guess in the same ways applies to traveling through like countries and media, cultures and places. Like it's the same ways. I got a great opportunity being, I guess, obviously being single and having financial stability at some time in my life to be able to afford these great trips. But the travel started with me like when I was younger, obviously. So growing up in Russia, I didn't have much time, opportunity to travel. But I got a great opportunity from my teachers and from my school, who kind of pushed for like educational classes and teachings, history, and where I actually kind of, I don't know what caught my attention, but it caught my attention of just looking at history books of those ancient places, of ancient significant historical events and places that they were outside our borders. But in being in Russia, Russia's so big, I never imagined what's outside the borders besides those books. And those adventure travels kind of inspired me always to like imagine what it'd be like seeing those places, those wonderful places of history and like war fighting, of big significance and of great human achievements. Where in Russia, it's a great country, obviously, and a lot of history too, but it's within the borders. So everywhere I went, it was by foot and on sleds or wintertime, obviously. So I didn't really get the opportunity to travel anywhere. So until my later years right now, I get the time and money to actually finally take that leap, which is kind of one of the lessons I learned from it. Just going and actually seeing those amazing places, seeing those human achievement places like early pyramids and great walls, and seeing just amazing achievements that humans built back in history. And you can see how much they had done it for what reasons and how much a human character you can see in that. And being there in person and seeing that in person yourself instead of... And I remember that when you were a kid, seeing that in the books and you finally made it from where you feel like sometimes, like with all the environment around us, around your life, you actually make those wonderful places of your imagination, of your dreams. You actually see yourself finally being physically present on those, like being on top of a pyramid, standing there when you remember when you were a kid, looking at the books on the pyramids, and you're standing there, you're like, wow. I mean, I made it there. I achieved it. I mean, it's almost like surreal, like life can't be that bad. I can see my dreams become true, if I see myself from my background making it here, even though there's nothing special, but to me it was eye-opening how much how much we are far apart, but at the same time how much we can be close together at the same time. You can go to the far places of civilization, and be in that present and feel those feelings that and those years of just changes in the environments. Yeah.
So like seeing the pictures of the pyramids, for instance, in the books, and then actually being there, and I think you just made a great point. Is like we're much closer to each other than we think. The world is this giant place to a lot of people, where it's just like, to think of somewhere in Nigeria, Africa, or, the middle of the outback in Australia or Antarctica is like this completely far away place that you will never see, but you're really just like a plane trip like away, like several hours, like in a plane ride, and you're there, and you're connected to those people that you've seen in pictures. You're connected to the architecture, like you said, the pyramids that you saw in all the history books in this little picture. And I know you described that feeling of like, it sort of made your dreams you're having as a kid, like you realizing that they're possible, all that, but just in comparison to what you're seeing on a page to what you're seeing in real life, what kind of feelings does that bring up for you? Like,
of course, yes, that's dude, it is a feelings of completely different feelings, absolutely. Where one place you see and you dream, and another place you feel and you standing there and you actually experience this almost like it's like a 3D feeling, like where you have just beyond the knowledge and your imagination, you actually have the environmental feeling of surrounding you. So you're standing there with the smells of camel or the desert dry sand, for example, and for being talking about Egypt. You have the sand, small particles of the sand dunes hitting your face. You have the sun burning on your skull a little bit, a little warm, a little dry. And then, but also that mystery in front of you. And you're like, wow, they actually build this stuff. And you forget how like massive those things are, and built by us, by humans, like just like dudes like us, or men and women like just like us. Obviously, they were probably slaves or whatever, but they were built by humans, like species, for like, just like us, and the struggle, and it's still standing 3,000 years, and that shows achievement of human, not just like, oh, it's cool, but it shows the achievement of humans, like how much work and dedication can somebody put, and they can stand a timeline, and leave a legacy for it. I mean, it could be, obviously, you think about political things and what the reasons they build is one thing, but it doesn't take the value of the people who build it. And it's a great human achievement through pain, sweat, and tears, obviously, and sometimes probably death too. But it shows the dedication of human labor and how much humans have potential. And you standing there and you feel how much it's still with this time, and you still have the time and opportunity to appreciate it in our time. Yeah. And I think that's priceless. And when you stand there, I think that's kind of, we forget, like places like that of great buildings or architecture, or even mountains or even nature. For those places like that, we all, I guess, almost united in time period. Mm-hmm. So they built that over a long time ago, but we can be standing there today, and we can almost be the same time period that they were built. I mean, in the sense of the thing itself and the reason for it's built, or how it's built, or the almost like it's like wine. It's captured in time, for timeless. Yeah. But you can still but you still can taste that 64 whatever red wine of this whatever time period. Yeah. I don't know if that makes sense, but
I would say, yeah, you're onto something, and that's sort of the bigger picture of these lasting effects that we have in the universe, right? We're
Yeah.
given this one life to like discover things and like build things, right? And like put stuff out into the universe, and that yet these pyramids are standing the test of time, and like the reasons that they did it, this and that, like don't matter so much as far as like humans were able to do this, right? And something I was just thinking of is how in the USA specifically is, as far as like modern civilization goes, is kind of a young country, and we don't necessarily have these ancient pyramids we can, point back to and say, hey, our humans built this a long time ago or whatever. We down in Mexico, you have like the Aztec culture, which was like huge. Have you heard like how advanced they were in their systems and like markets and like
absolutely,
super advanced, dude. But even in North America, though, I would argue that you go to some of these like when I've gone out into the traveling across the U.S. and I go out to some of the Native American sites, like where they used to live and stuff, you still feel this connection of people. When I come across, I'm walking through nature and I come to a cliff edge and I'm like, dude, this just feels natural standing here, like taking this all in, right? And then I look down and I see a spot that's like carved out that was used as like a bowl for like grounding wheat or whatever, cool. And so in that sense, you have a smaller footprint that's left behind, but it's still from this ancient culture, right? But it still has this like feeling of people were here, somebody else was here in this moment, right? Somebody else was standing in front of those pyramids way back when, where you were standing, and like taking it in that moment, and that connectivity across time, space, like that us as a human species is like, it's almost like we're talking to each other through time, and that connection is there. But so I just for some reason I just
it's good.
I was trying to think of it from like when you were talking about like, man, what do we have in the U.S. that's like the pyramids? And then I started thinking like, dude, I've had feelings of what you were describing when I see some of that small stuff too. And then I would say beyond that is in my travels in Europe, it's like you can feel the history there. I mean, because there's so much. It's not as like spread out like America's like the Native Americans were. So it's like there's so much stuff that has happened in those places, and you can see it in architecture. You can go to Germany, you can see where there's bombed out churches from World War II and like that were made way before World War II. So you see like the history of when it was made, and then like you can see when World War II came and like struck that church, and
Well, you also, I mean, it's kind of following your note. You can see that, but also you can see the importance of it. Even afterwards, it was get bombed and stuff. People still rebuild it and continue that legacy and continue that inspiration where what it was inspired by in the first place. Yeah, absolutely good point, dude. Like I said, America. I travel throughout the world, and the more I travel, sometimes the more it reminds me that. I mean, sometimes we should explore our own backyards, and that's why I've been kind of on the road for the last few days. It kind of interesting. It's kind of funny and kind of not ironic, but it's interesting how I've been from Iceland to Morocco to Egypt to Middle East to Russia, obviously from anywhere in Europe. The more I travel, the more I'm like, wow, it's like this is the same, almost not same. But not historically, but throughout environment itself, the nature itself. I'm like, this is in the States. We have great canyons, we have beautiful mountains, lakes, the coast. And I'm like, wow. Sometimes maybe you shouldn't go over the seas. Sometimes you should start with your backyard first, and explore your backyard, and explore your just neighborhood, and see what's around you, and be impressed how much stuff is just in front of you that we just sometimes we pass on a daily routine because we're so busy with other things. We don't really appreciate of and taking time. Obviously, just sometimes like, wow, what's out here? Sometimes I do in my app. So I have an app on my phone like history app. What's near me? Sometimes I go random towns, obviously visit friends and stuff like throughout the states and stuff, and I just go random places. I'm like, in my own state, I'm like, what's out here? And then I go see. Oh, actually, this little history. Like, there's a fort here, or there's a statue of this. You go out there, you're like, wow. I would never have thought this existed here unless I'll actually look it up and you make sure you appreciate it. You're like, wow, there's a lot more history and a lot more cool stuff you can learn from your own, just your neighborhood, basically. Yeah.
But it takes you getting out.
Yeah.
You got to get out of your bubble. Like something that I've recently took in was I had a road trip I was making to Colorado, and instead of like what is it I'm blanking on the name of the town. Amarillo by morning. Amarillo.
That's good.
I have to sing the song to remember. Amarillo usually is a good like halfway point, and normally I would stay in a Holiday Inn, but instead, we decided to look around and find a place to camp, and dude, it was awesome. We found Palo Duro Canyon, and we tent camped, and yeah, it's not a comfy like bed after road traveling and everything, but going on a hike and in the morning when you wake up, like stretching your legs before you get back on the road instead of just walking out from the hotel, like getting back in your car and going, like got the blood pumping, breathing some fresh air, so you're not just breathing that car air that you're stuck in. And the cow manure, like it's the night sky, like seeing the Milky Way, having a fire, cooking some food yourself, like over that fire, and then this cool moment where the coyotes just like you can hear them start like coming up the canyon, and it was weird. It was like they weren't hunting or anything. They were just like, it was almost like a chill walk there. They're just like, hey, what's up? Like, we're coming through. Because I've heard them when they're like on the hunt or they're like going after something. For sure. But it was this weird, just like, we were just kind of joined with them in that canyon. Like we were kind of sharing space for a little bit. It was so much more rewarding than staying in a hotel. And so I'm looking for opportunities like that, like you said, because I came to the same conclusion. Traveling abroad, I'm like, dude, there's places in the States I haven't been, like I need to start exploring around me and then like continue to broaden out. Like I'm not going to pass up on opportunities to travel abroad, but
absolutely.
I'm also going to take advantage of my backyard and get out and do that. But I understand, you enjoy photography, and when you're visiting these places like the pyramids or, other places, you like taking pictures, but I understand that you also sketch. Like what does that do for you beyond just taking a picture of it, but actually dedicating time to like sit down and sketch the sights you're seeing?
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, so I mean, like it's like photography is amazing. I like taking pictures, and I'm still learning a lot about taking pictures and trying to obviously improve my skills. So with picture, you capture it, and with great camera, you can see a lot of detail. Obviously, you can capture a lot of things, but you cannot capture. You kind of focusing on the overall picture, I guess, in the sense of overall exposure, your focus, your kind of overall composition of the whole picture and how it looks. Where it's kind of a doesn't take much time really. I mean, obviously, professional photographers can spend a lot of days and hours on focusing on every point, making everything perfect. But it's not the same. Where I guess it's putting human effort. At least for me, I feel like where you have we sit down in front of that object, such as like such as a cathedral of Saint Sophia in Istanbul, or being in front of the being Acropolis in Athens, and seeing those buildings or ruins, or those just human architecture of the time that's still standing today. You sit there in that, and just right there in front of it, where time is kind of almost still. I mean, it's still, you're sitting there. There's no rush. If you have no, obviously you have no rush to go anywhere. You sit down. It's it's basically you're the main audience of that architect. Basically, whoever created that building, basically he's speaking to you directly. Like, you're sitting there, like, hey, you're one of the persons who wants to, you came here, you sit down. Let me tell you about my creation. Let me tell you about my orchestra of thousands of feet and 100,000 years of old, or this building, or just creativity and just beautiful buildings they created. Mm-hmm. You sit there, and with every line you make on the sketch, so like it's like you capturing that like history in your own book now. And so now every line represents the time in place, and as you're doing that, you really studying, you really seeing the every detail, even imperfections, or time deficiencies, or that have corroded or have not corroded, or just things that affected that the structure or building, or that object. And as you see it, it's almost kind of speaks to you. Like, look at me, I collapsed after the certain country invaded this country, and you can see the holes on the building, for example. Mm-hmm. You can see, hey, after so many years, the sun have corroded me, through just the statue of degrading. You can see here the earthquake has crushed us. You have a crack in the far east wall. Mm-hmm. But towards the end, it still says, I'm here, still standing. I'm still here, basically speaking to you of all the beauty and the imagination and freedom of mind, creation that whoever created this building, architecture, and whoever the builders, the constructors, the workers, even, and all their labor in their almost literally their spirit that converted into work to create that building. Yeah, they're speaking to you here. I'm like, hey, I'm still here for you, to inspire you, basically, to inspire you and think of better things. The world is sometimes is scary and dark place, and of those beautiful places, it reminds you of that it is you capturing something more spiritual, in the sense of spirituality. There is beautiful things out there that we should appreciate. We are beautiful things, and we are humans, and we are beautiful things, and we should appreciate beautiful things, and we should share those beautiful things with others. And for that reason, like, when you sit there, you just smell the air. I feel if there's breeze, or just people walking by. Everybody's so in a rush. It also makes sense. Everybody's in a rush. Tourists always
get their selfie.
Yeah, to get selfie and go. Just like put the 2
I was here.
Yeah. They they just fly by. But you're still there. You're sitting there. You're looking at every angle. You see the sun as it is going down. If you're there for a long time, for example, for a couple of hours past, or quarter to the sunset, you can see a change of environment. But you're still there, and the building's still there. And it's like, now you can see more of me. You can almost see, like, it's like a beautiful, like a woman that's like, after you've been in a relationship, you're like, I'll open up with more of the details you've never seen. And every line, it's almost like curvature. You're like, wow. So, I mean, it speaks to you. And then also like anything in life, I guess my point is, if you want to really appreciate something, you have to spend time with it. Yeah. And I mean, finally, towards my now years, as I'm maturing, hopefully, thank God, I'm just learning a lot about it. Just the more you spend time with something and you put effort into things, you learn about it and you appreciate more. And it's the same way. It's like nothing in life is easy or free. And if you want to learn something, acquire something, you have to put effort into it. And it's there. Like anything in life, like we have everything given to us. It's I mean, it's not given to us, but it's in front of us. But we have to unlock ourselves to spend the time and discipline to take that and ask for it and achieve it.
Yeah. I think it speaks to what you mentioned in the beginning as far as like travel. Like we talk about it, traveling in time, like we go from our birth to our death, this and that. Like the for me, it's I've found that I was going so fast in life, in sort of my, I would say, second phase, like after childhood, like entering early adulthood, I was going so fast and hard, like getting after it, and I really enjoyed that time. And I look back and can say, like, that was awesome.
Yep.
But I'm also enjoying this time. I think there's something to be said of, like, finding...
it's a season
like,
of the reason,
enjoying each different season of your life. And, like, this season right now, I'm doing it, like, I feel myself doing more and more. What you're saying is just, like, slowing down, like, and just taking it all in. And... really enjoying the people I'm sitting down with, and connecting with them, talking with them. And then when I'm out in nature on a hike, I'm not just like, okay, I got to get to the top of this mountain and then down. Before, that's how my mentality was. I just need to conquer this mountain. I just need to get to the top and then come down. Like, but now I found myself like, dude, that's a really cool rock. And now I'm gonna get like maybe a little hippy dippy or whatever, but like I'll go over and I'll like if something strikes my interest, I'm like, dude, I'm gonna go check that out. Like, why am I not gonna go check it out? So it's like I see a cool tree, dead tree. Dead trees fascinate me. Trees fascinate me in general. So if I see a cool tree, I want to get over to. I want to touch it, smell it, like break up some leaves in my hands and just like try and remember that moment, especially. Like the time I described to you, when I come to the rock edge and I see a spot that's carved out by another, like I feel some of that connection. Lately, I've been trying to seal those moments in my brain. And I think sketching is a good way of doing that. Yeah. But our olfactory nerves are the most like powerful sensory we have as far as memory recall, right? So I've been focusing a lot on smells. So when I find myself in a moment, I'm like, dude, I want to be on my deathbed and be able to like think of that smell, or like or just like pull out some evergreens and like be taken back to like this awesome moment I had on this mountainside where I'm looking out at this beautiful view and just taking it all in and pausing there for however long it takes for me to fully experience that moment. And then I'm sealing it in my brain with those smells. So I'm rubbing it in my beard. I'll even pick up some of the soil, like smell the soil, like feel what the soil feels like between my hands, And I guess that's my version of a sketch right now. But I love the idea of sketching. I think I need to sketch more anyways. And I think I'm going to take your sort of I think challenge and do it.
You should. I think everybody should do it. It's not about like your skill level. It's not, nobody cares. It's just personally for you. It's like I said, like in photo, you quick and easy. You could take a snap and go. One sketch, you have to take every detail in consideration. Every sketch, it's like, dude, you literally capturing time for you. Because that second, you look at that at that second, you saw that light or the reflection, whatever of the object of the building, and then you have to capture that. You capturing that shade or that line of that outline in your book, and you're literally capturing time in your little sketch. It's like obviously it's like we are almost like our own timekeepers in the sense of in our sketchbooks, in our art, and that's why I think art is it's a powerful thing. It freezes time, but also there's no time continuum in art because it can bring you to that place, like you said, with smells, it triggered those things, or it will take you to another place that you want to be or wish to be. So I mean, art can take you from the past, the future, to the present. So.
And it speaks to people in the future, right?
Yes, of course,
like,
of course.
how many artists like were never famous after they're long dead, and then it's just like the architecture, like you said, when you're sitting there drawing it, and you feel like that architect that had this grand design, he envisioned you sitting there like enjoying his work.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And he's like, you know what? I'm gonna add this little detail. If somebody's like, in this right angle, they're gonna see this when the sun hits this spot. That's why I'm fascinated by the old burial mounds, in Ireland and stuff, Newgrange. These fantastic works of architecture. They're rock and dirt mounds, but they're aligned perfectly for like the winter solstice, for the sunbeam. And I mean, let's face it, these people didn't have phones and like all the distractions we have now. And that's what it comes down to. It's we're so distracted by this this virtual world. But and I mean that has I think that's part of it's a new emerging part of our human evolution, right?
Yes.
But I think in a sense to be grounded to yourself and where you came from and like who you are as a human species, kind of like if you find yourself lost within this virtual world and not like having trouble, a good spot to turn to is like where you came from, right? Which is back to the earth. Like, what are we doing in this universe? Like, we're basically like little explorers, like with little antennae, like going around like, what's this? Like poke, draw. Like, I'm recording this, like,
just walk.
And it's I think it's just like really beneficial to get out there and get outside your bubble. I mean, I've said that multiple times. But
how many of us honestly walked outside our, even about our neighborhood? Like, for example, we worked out this morning and we ran, and for me, I learned more about your neighborhood just by running here today than I would ever have if I ever lived here. You know what I'm saying? And the thing is, like, the more you walk, so I'm like, as I travel also, I like to go like running in the places I go to, cities, or if I have a chance, or even just in the States or anywhere. If I get opportunity to just be able to run outside or even walk blocks, I love it because you just observe. I mean, like, I like running because obviously it's you work out and you also have those endorphins kicking in. You just observe it faster than just walking, but obviously. But you just observe all the things you never see. And you're driving the car or you're taking a bus or a trolley or whatever. You see all the small things of like random places. Like, oh, dude, that's cool, like little bar, or that's a cool little art store, or is like cool, like a little musical place, or just business, or just the guy just painting or doing some random stuff. And it kind of opens up in your mind how much around us that we never explore and that just surround us. And the problem is I think like sometimes most of us, or at least for me, I feel like sometimes we are so enclosed mentally, and then we're always over expecting things or over like thinking that's not reality. We kind of predict our own. We predict kind of the things what we think people are or the things are, without really truly knowing it. Obviously, the things we think, for example, like we think, oh, there's nothing here, or this is a bad neighborhood and stuff. Yeah. But in reality, if you go there, it's like, dude, you walk there yourself if in person, and you're like, wow, it's actually a nice neighborhood. Well, people are super nice.
Our brain's getting our best guesstimate from all the information it's collected, because our brains are like little information collectors, right? From all the sensory input we're taking, visionary, the stuff, memories we've been told about that area or whatever. And then your best guess is your best guess. But when you're inside your car in this like sealed up, vehicle, bubble, and you're like looking at through glass, you're not even like seeing it, directly or like you said, up close or in it, and it's, of course, what your preconceived notion that your brain's already calculated is going to be validated. It's not going to draw new conclusions. It's when you put yourself out there and go explore it that your brain is then given this new sensory that, oh, this is different. Then that sends in a whole different, calculation change for the way you think about it. Yeah. But I would say that's something I really enjoy about riding my motorcycle across country.
Yeah.
Totally different than driving in a car across country. It's definitely got its, it wears on you more a little bit because I don't have a fairing, so I'm getting beat up by the wind. Yeah, but you notice so much more. And but then you're right. Even just running around, you're even slower, right? And you're seeing everything. You're noticing different types of asphalt and the little frog that's like smashed on the side of the road,
Yeah, absolutely.
And thinking about, man, what was it like when, what was his life leading up to like this moment?
Well, I don't think about that deep, but
oh, okay, well I did. But yeah, dude, and I think travel is a great way to understand other people and what I just was talking about, and like your brain's preconceived notions about people from other places or the neighborhood that's over by you or whatever that you think is bad or whatever may not be as bad as you think.
Yeah, of course they're not.
And I guarantee you there's people just like you there.
Yeah, they're probably thinking the same thing. Yeah. Like, oh, the next neighborhood is probably worse than my neighborhood.
Yeah. And on the larger scale, the ideas we have of other countries, like a great example of that is North Korea. We have so many misconceptions of like what it's like there. Most everybody has no idea what it's like there because most of us will never go there, like have the opportunity to be in there, even, because they're very restrictive on travel. So
also people are mentally close their minds or afraid that because of all the things they've just been learned or just not trusting.
And from what I've seen, just from listening to like, people who've escaped North Korea or this or that, listening to them, it was just like immediately it was different information entering my brain, and it was changing my whole idea of what North Korea is. It was weird because it's almost like it's worse than you think in some areas, but it's also like not as bad in some areas, like people are getting there's like a weird porn industry there where it's it's like super illegal. You get executed for like watching porn, and and I had no idea about that. I'm like, holy shit. But but yeah, so what's your experience with meeting people from different cultures? I mean, I'm not talking about like the neighborhood next door or whatever, but like in your travels all over different countries, like what's your experience meeting these people? Were they drastically different? Like what's the common ground there? Can you like explain?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. I mean, obviously, many people probably travel here. Obviously, like you travel yourself. And I want to bring in 2 points here. So I think there's 2 points here. So you learn about when you travel, no matter where you go, just anywhere new, basically. And for this example, we use going overseas, any foreign country. I think the traveling provides. Obviously, I'm trying to speak about the things. I'm like wealthy. I have time to travel. I'm not trying to say. Let's take that away. I mean, I'm not wealthy. I'm basically going to put my own monies into traveling, and it's one of the things I care about, and I think it's important to me because I love it. It's kind of I save it to travel for. First of all, put it out there, so people can relate to us. I'm just a dude. But two things I want to like to kind of bring up. There's 2 distinctions about traveling. One thing, I think the biggest thing you learn is about yourself. These are great things you learn about traveling, especially as traveling solo. Traveling with your friends and families and your loved ones and couples, it's obviously it's amazing and you should do it absolutely. But when you learn, even then when you travel with your significant other, your friends, you still learn the same lessons, basically the same thing. One thing, not many things, you learn from that aspect of traveling individually. is, first of all, from my experience, because I travel alone, solo most of the time, is basically taking that step of just faith and not a faith, but step of being spontaneous, just gonna go. Because sometimes it kind of reflects in life, dude. Like we get consumed by thinking, like, oh, what's gonna happen? What's gonna do this? Should I go there? How for a travel, for example, you go like, oh, how much is it gonna cost? Is it dangerous there? Is it whatever? You get so scared after a while. You think so much about it, you get scared. You're like, oh, I'll be by myself, whatever. You get like discouraged. You're basically your own enemy. But if you say like, whatever, dude, I just go. And from my experiences, sometimes I just have no plan. I just go, and things work out. And it's like, even this trip, I just literally drove, no timeline. I had to make some timelines, obviously, to meet some people, but it worked out itself. And I think that's a beautiful thing about traveling. It's self believe that you do the right things, and you treat people all right, and you just take those chances. Things work out no matter what. Like for example, I was in Greece, middle of nowhere. I was looking for the 300 field with the Spartan spots, middle of nowhere. I took a bus there for a couple of hours. I dropped off nowhere, and then nobody was there except me. I took some pictures and stuff, hike around, sucked in all the history. I really appreciate the history and battlefields and stuff. And then afterwards, I was like, well, how to get back? Because the bus doesn't stop. There's no bus stop there.
Wow.
So I was literally, started walking down a main road, and I saw a little town. Stopped walking there. It was like probably a good distance, a few miles. And then I walked to a random museum. I found this museum out there. I go in there, all the Greeks, and they're like, hey, hello, like, would you like to explore the museum? I'm like, sure, whatever. So be polite, be like a human being, like being nice, not professional, but being nice, like all of us should be, yeah. And then they're like, super cool, being polite, about coffee there, and just being super friendly to everybody, and just small talking to everybody. And eventually, one lady's like, how are you getting back? I'm like, well, I'm sorry. I'm like, I'm gonna ask, was there a bus there? They're like, no. And just small talking, being polite, everything, just being like nice guy. And then they're like, well, there's no bus here. How are you getting back? I'm like, well, there's no way, yeah. But somehow it worked out. There's a lady, she's going back her town, local lady. One of the friends that worked there. She's like, yeah, well, she's going back, but she's going to be back in an hour, and she's going to the next town. She'll give you a ride. And I'm like, oh, that'd be amazing, yeah. And I think that's probably one of the most of the things I learned about Greece is being with that. When she give me a ride back to the next town, a couple hours later, just being with her in her car, just a local lady. She's not. I mean, she spoke English obviously, but she's local. No agendas, no nothing. But just ask her, how's your country? How are the things with all the variety of things of political nature happening in your country currently? Mm-hmm. And she opened up to me, and it was probably eye-opening how much she gave me about her culture, how her feelings about the UN and Europe, and a variety of things happening right now in Europe. And I was like, wow. And also the human aspect of things, how she thinks of being as a native,
wow,
and local, and how much political things affect her neighborhood, and she personally feels it. And it's gonna open up my mind. It's like, dude, and like I said, I've been many places, dude. Some places I've been like rough places. I'm like, well, I don't know how I'm gonna make this. I'm scary, but in the end, it all works out. Because I guess that brings me to my second point is that humans, obviously, there's bad people everywhere, and obviously some places you shouldn't go. But even some places like you might think that's scary, we are as human beings, we are kind of willing to help each other. Obviously, they're extremes. Don't take me wrong. You have to be careful. And there are people that take precautions, obviously, but also you can't be too precautionary. We think everybody's like a bad guy or an enemy. But if you find the right environments and you just go with you provide, I guess, good vibe over yourself, and then open up to people, and you find out how people are as humans. We all share the same values, no matter what, culture, religion, space, and time. you learn about things like war-torn countries that people are really sharing the same humanity in the sense of we want to help each. You respect me. You show me respect and hospitality, or you care about me, and it reciprocates back. Like I said, and that you see how people will go out of their ways to help you out if you're like a foreigner, especially. But because you're interested in the culture, because you care for them as a human being, or you show them respect. And also, you actually learn, dude. It's like the book of the great the Alchemist, for example. If you ever heard of Alchemist, it's a great book. You should listen to it. Absolutely,
The Alchemist, yeah,
The Alchemist, dude.
yeah.
And,
Great book.
I went from Morocco and from Spain to Morocco and stuff. And I was listening to the book. Is literally, I feel like I was walking through the steps of Diego, the main character of the book.
Mm-hmm.
But he has a great point, which reflecting absolutely in my traveling in life, that we are all the same characters, dude. We all care about family. We all care about helping each other. We want to be better ourselves. We have our own destiny and future. We care about it. And the coolest part is like, especially trying to random places where you feel like the world is, they like live in the worst places. The farther you go, they feel like they're willing to give you everything. Like even though they have maybe nothing, they may be living in a tent or in a hut, but they still have the same humanity no matter what. They are
the generosity.
They'll love you. They give you their best. You want to sleep on their bed. They're willing to give you their bed because they're hospitality, because they care about you as a human being, willing to see them and learn about them and just being part of their group. And I'm saying, like, as a human, it's a great thing about traveling. You learn about, in the end, we're all the same.
Yeah.
We might come from the different countries, or America, Europe, Asia, Middle East, Australia, whatever, Japan. In the end, we are almost like instilled with the same values of just helping each other.
We all bleed red.
Yeah, we all live and die, and this is our life, our passage for life. And why not to show and help and care and share these moments of that togetherness, of differentness, but we're differentness, but of the same similarity. I don't know if that makes sense, but
it does.
Yeah, it's amazing how you see how much, like how, and also you also see how much your impact might be affect their lives too. For example, I guess this might be like another point, but I won't go too crazy with this. But for example, even small gestures of saying thank you, especially from Americans, for example. A lot of American tourists sometimes they go too crazy being Americans, and nothing wrong with that. But sometimes we kind of forget how good we are, and how we should be more humble about other things. But that's not the point. The point is, when you have, for example, when I was in Morocco, I was going through. Oh, I think it's Jordan. That was Jordan. Yes, I was in Jordan. Yeah, we stopped at some one of those truck stops, just to get gas and just quick refill some water and stuff. But next to us, just in the fields, there was a tents of nomads. So the people are local natives of Jordan, and they're throughout Europe and Africa, Northern Africa, Middle East. They just travel. They're nomads. They just travel and they have herds and nothing. They're very poor, very poor. But obviously they have. I mean, so we stopped there. Nothing big deal. But I saw those kids coming out. Just, I mean, obviously it's barefoot, just some clothes and stuff. But I mean, they ran out to us, and obviously nobody paying attention to them, whatever. But I had some this is nothing cool or special, but I had I bought a box of cookies, just cookies, local cookies from the store. But when I saw them and some of the little boy came to me, he had no hair, just a little young guy, maybe 5 or 7, maybe whatever. I mean, it's nothing. I gave him. I look at him and I'm like, dude, I gave him the box of cookies, whatever. That was, and then I gave him whatever the money I had, like, or the Jordanian bucks, maybe $20 in money. And he ran to his but I saw him running away. As happiest kid ever. He running went back to his. They had a tent out there in front of him, and his sister ran out, and he had like 5 more siblings. They all running like, and his mother came out, and they're like, "Wow, you got a box of cookies," and you have money. They all like were excited and celebrated. And it was a small gesture. It was,
Dude.
but I feel like at that moment, I think the kids, for that kid, I think that means that a moment. It's not for. Well, I'm like, my own charity. I'm like, oh, like I feel better with myself. I feel like that kid is like, dude, his eyes open up. He's like, dude, this random dude, foreigner. Just, I mean, obviously, I'm trying to say, oh, we're charity and give credit for it, but I'm saying, and that kids and that family, like his mom, when they said like, wow, and she opened up the cookies, and she divided it between all the kids. As we were pulling out, I was watching them, and I was like, dude, that's like. That's the things like you really. I mean, it's cool. Like you made a difference in their lives for hopefully for the moment. And the same thing, like, and like for example, I come from Russia. Yeah, my childhood. I spent a lot of my childhood earlier in Russia, and like we didn't have much either. So I mean, I'm not saying like, oh wow, my life was hard. I'm just saying, life is hard, but people are that. Simple gesture because of kindness can go big, and especially in kids' lives and any human life. Like So with that being said, like dude, like I said, like we are afraid of humans sometimes of different cultures and stuff, and there's a lot of media. That's what media affects a lot of us and being afraid and stuff for sure, dude.
Well, they make money on fear.
Oh yeah, for sure. And there's a lot of politics involved and isolation, but in humanity, man, dude, you go anywhere, dude. Like, there's people willing to go out their ways to go help you out, no matter what. Like, I've been stranded in random places. Like I said, I slept in the street sometimes. Being like in Israel, I've been like, for example, I've been in Israel, yeah, where in Palestine, where you're like, oh wow, Palestine, no Israelis can be allowed here. It's a red zone. It's a Palestine government, like everybody's, they hate the Jews or they hate whatever the politics, they hate each other, whatever. But in the end, no, they are welcoming you. Like, come, you want some food? We'll give you food. You want some whatever, and you like show them a little kindness. They're like, wow, they go out their way, dude. Like, and that's a beautiful thing about traveling is that you learn about a lot about people,
and
how much we're not different at all. We might have different environment where we live, countries, economics. But in the end, when it comes to the human lessons, it's not what you have, but how we use the things we have, I guess, in a sense. Like how, as a humans, we share those things with each other and for each other for the reasons, yeah. It's not, but dude, the more you have doesn't mean you have a better life. It's about how you share those things with other people, yeah, basically in the end, yeah.
Dude, I'm really glad you said some of this stuff because I feel sort of ashamed of myself. It's like I've fallen victim to the fear stuff. Mm-hmm. I've wanted to do the run of the bulls, since I was a kid, and because of the current situation, like security situation in Europe right now, I've like kind of avoided it.
Absolutely, yeah.
And it's bullshit.
It's bullshit, yeah.
I shouldn't let, shit like that fucking dictate, me going out and enjoying, these parts of life. Like,
enjoying these people. For example, the exact perfect explanation, dude. And so I went to Istanbul just this year in Turkey. And we had this tricky situation with the kind of a Middle East instability right now. There's a lot of fear going on. I went there. Dude, I met like nicest people. My hotel manager or my hostel manager was drinking beer with me. Was like a Romanian Turkey guy, drinking beer with me. He would be like you want food? I'll buy you food. Like, dude, I'm like, how do you guys doing business? Like, oh, our business tourism is bad. Like 50%, like 5 times worse than it was last year. Like, barely making any money, barely surviving. But he's like, still did. I bought him a case of beer as appreciation, but he helped me out with figured out the best travels places to go in Turkey. And he take care of me, like, for sure. Like, he give me, like, he called everybody. He provided me the best transportations, routes. He hooked me up. I had literally, like, with his help, I would probably be lost. But he hooked me up with everything. Not for money, but because, I mean, obviously I pay for all the stuff, but he helped me out because I was, like, willing to learn about him. Mm-hmm. I was being polite. I'm like, hey, how you doing? Like, hey, how's it going? I mean, where are you from? Like, just being open book with him. And he's like, dude, I like you. You open book. And we talk and stuff. And I'm like, he bought me, dude. Like I said, we we go upstairs. Him and his buddies, a couple managers, and we just drink beer together, eat seeds, like the Turks, or watch over the Istanbul channel, Constantinople, dude. I'll be scared to, like, Istanbul, like one of the oldest cities in our history, and then I'll be nobody's going there because they're afraid, and I was afraid too. But I said, sometimes you have to say, screw this, and just go. And doing, like, and do you learn? I learned a lot, dude. Like I said, like, even to get there, my taxi driver, dude, was like telling me everything about himself and his family and teaching me a phrase of Turkish. I'm like, dude, like, you're awesome, dude. Like, why are you doing this? He's like, dude, because I want people to be happy. I want my people come to my country. I want to understand that we are better people than the media shows us. We are welcome. People are better than we think they are sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And dude, it's just, I mean, there's so many points here, just like driving home here, which is like, how much better are you off for taking that step? We talk about the self-development that happens in these travels. Absolutely. Not letting fear get the best of you, overcoming those fears. And then not only the blessings that you're like, when you're telling the example of giving those kids those cookies and stuff, that's like pay it forward to the T. Like, who did they then, like, think of the generosity that they had been shown that day, and then who did they help? You know, it's wild. Like doing the podcast, there's random stuff I do that somehow affects people, and I would say everybody does that. Like, we don't realize how much of an effect we have on each other. And I think you spoke really well about going into these situations, staying positive, your energy and what you're putting out there, like the way you present yourself in a kind, generous, positive way, it's going to come back on you, you know, and people are going to notice that. They're going to appreciate that. And you don't know what kind of dramatic effect that's going to have. Like, when was the last time those people in Istanbul had somebody that interested in them and, like, willing to do that? And, like, when maybe they're starting to feel alone and cut off from the rest of the world, and all of a sudden this person comes and restores hope to them, you know? And then they go home and tell their family, like, hey, there are people out there that, like, get what we're doing. You know, we're not alone here. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like,
Absolutely.
What's the ripple effect of that? You know, I think the more we can just, like, try and process. I mean, because life is full of waves, right? We have the stressors, we have, you know, the baggage we're carrying and stuff like that. But let's try not to dump that out on everybody else. Like, let's do some introspection. Travel is a great way. You're spending great periods of time, like either sitting on a train, bus, you know, viewing out into, you know, a new territory where you have time to process things, learn about yourself, maybe deal with some of that baggage you're carrying, and not dumping it on everybody you come in contact with. And instead of, like, the negative ripple effect, because that's one too, right?
Absolutely.
It's the whole, you know, I kill your brother, you kill my
Yeah,
brother, then
yeah.
my younger brother
Yeah.
kills your brother,
Yeah,
right?
uh-huh.
Like,
Or just
Yeah.
in general hate. Like,
yeah,
oh, you're not this person or this kind or not this of religion. I don't like you. But do you like him because of him, or you be like him because of his geo whatever politics of
His ideas.
the ideas of somebody put on you to think of him?
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? So it's like I said. I mean, obviously, traveling can be. You have to be careful no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
But you cannot go with the mindset of that everybody's trying to get you or trying to rip you off. Obviously, I got ripped up many times and a few times, not many times, but a few times. Obviously, there's bad apples and everywhere. I got ripped off a couple times, but it's not on me, and it's not on me. Yes, I lost money. Yes, because I get hustled, whatever. I didn't know what better, but it's not on me. It's on that person. I mean, they're the ones corrupting themselves. But most of majority of the people are. You learn more from them. You learn about them. That reflects learning about yourself. Because of the things, most of the time we hate or we like about somebody because it's part of us. We like the values on the other person because that's why we like him, or we hate that person because they have something we don't. We shortfallings in ourselves. So we have to look deep inside ourselves and see why are we doing the things, or are we hating, or making our observations or hateful observation because most of the time it's us.
yeah,
Yeah. We don't like that person because he's either better than us, that we like the values of the things that he does, or he's better than us, or we hate him because he has something that we just lacking in ourselves. I think I said that twice, but anyhow, yeah.
It's easy to push blame on other people, but ultimately, we need to take ownership of our lives.
Yeah, absolutely.
If let's say, I would say, for people to say, "Oh well," I mean, I think you made a good point. Like, you save up to travel.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like,
You're
not.
It's
fucking
not. I'm
loaded,
not. I'm not a loaded guy. I'm not like. I'm one of the guys who makes millions of dollars and is travel. I'm an adventurous guy. No, I'm not. I'm just a middle class, working man. But I just save all my money for my work instead of spending my money on other things and buy new cars or buy newer house or all the toys. I just save it, and I live pretty simple, but I like to use the money to invest in my once a year, if I can, into traveling, which I think, dude, I've been by now. I've been in a lot of countries, which I'm very grateful for opportunity and time to do that. Absolutely, and I'm grateful because of the people also that helped me out with this opportunity, I guess, to do that time and to travel itself. So, dude, it's like I said, dude. Like I would never have travel. I was scared by myself first time I traveled. I'm scared every time I travel. I get it for the mentality. Like, yes, why am I going there? Why what's all the things? But then I'm like, what am I thinking? Stop. Just you like this thing, do it. And that reflects. From now on, I started doing a lot of things to my own life. For example, I want I climbed a summit of Mount Hood in Oregon, for example. I was like, I have zero climbing skills, obviously. And I was like, dude, but that's the biggest mountain in Oregon, for example. I was like, well, what it takes to get, how much it costs, I figured out what all the requirements or whatever. I saved my money, and then I was like, just do it, man. Just do it, whatever. It will work out. So I did it. Obviously, I had to be preparation, basically being physical shape, and just common things like, hey, having proper gear, proper mindset, and proper physical abilities, and know yourself. But you have to. But I just say, just do it, man. So I just sign up for it. Well, next thing I know, I'm climbing Mount Hood. I'm walking the summit. There's a wind blowing. I get to the top. We start 4 a.m. We make it to the summit. I'm standing of the tallest mountain in Oregon, observing the whole surroundings, and the shadow of the summit is reflecting like a pyramid towards the rest of the valley of the surrounding environment, surrounding mountain. And the wind's blowing. It's cold. Snow out there. It's obviously it's snow summit. It's obviously it sucked. It was painful. My legs were definitely burning. It was good work for sure. It's definitely have to be in shape. But dude, then you look out there, and you're like, wow, I'm on top of the peak of the entire state. And there's moments like this, you're like, dude, I would never have been here if I never said, just stop thinking about it, just do it. I would never feel that experience. For example, being top in Jordan, in Petra, being top of those treasury and the top of the highest peak after running and hiking for like 10 hours by myself with a camera and backpack, not eating anything, just drinking tea and just trying to cover as much I can see, but capturing this moment, standing there where I stood in from Mount Hood to standing in the mountain of Moses in Israel to standing in Petra, where the other great explorers and people before us came, standing there on top of not on top of the world, but on top of the world of their time, but standing there where few come, only few people do that, and you were there and you see how it's like how your mind is, you can liberate yourself. You're like there. I'm standing here where the Moses stood. I'm standing here where the great explorers stood. I'm standing here, just me, because the place would not many go. Yeah. And you see the beautiful scenes. You see the sunset. You see sometimes you see rain, whatever. It could be shitty weather. It doesn't matter. But you stand in the places where not many will go. But you go there, and obviously it's hard work. I mean, honestly, yeah. It requires a lot of. Nothing is free. Like I said, it's my key point is nothing is free. You have to work to get to the top, to anything from life to business, whatever. But you're standing there, and you're like, I would never experience this. The wind, dude. You're standing there on top of the mountain. There's nothing there. Yeah. There's no tourists there. There's just you and maybe a few people. The crazy few that liberate themselves from their mind, standing there. But the sight you see is, you're like, wow. For example, like being in Jerusalem, I was on the top where Moses was buried. I was like, wow, this is when the people you read about in the books in the Bible. Yeah, and he's like, this is one of those greatest people. I'm not trying. I'm not religious about here, but speaking of just great people we hear about. You're like, I'm standing there of the people before us that were great, and I'm standing here now in their footsteps, or I'm standing here just in my own footsteps now, where only few came, and you just pushed every envelope of your mindset. Yeah, and you see how much you never seen before.
Embrace the adventure.
But also the environment, like of solitude, of spirituality, inspiration. You sacrifice your time, your efforts, your pain, your sweat. You make it there, and you're like, wow. Like you almost drop a pack of weight. You're like, wow. You're like, I'm here. And you take a second and just ponder about it. Like, why I want to worry about my paying bills? I mean, obviously it's important, honestly, huh? Yeah. But you forget about small things. You forget about like, oh, who cares about what car I want to drive, or how much gas prices are, or all this like small things we're worried about, like oh what he said about this guy, or drama in the office, or work, whatever.
Who liked my picture on
Facebook? Oh yeah. How many likes do you say? Doesn't make no effects. You like, it's just me, and I achieved something I would care. I wanted to do, and I was afraid of to do. Now I did it, and you're like, wow, I should have done this earlier. You're like, wow, I finally here, and then you're like. You have like little tingles, or you have like a little goosebumps in your skin. You're like, dude, this is like, it was worth it. And you're like, yeah, it was worth it.
I can't agree with you more. going up to the Old Manor store in Scotland.
Mm-hmm.
It's this rock formation that comes out of the Isle of Skye there.
Yeah.
And it's a place where the Vikings used to stash silver and stuff on the beach because they could recognize the rock formation. And it was super misty and like foggy and everything the day we went out to go see it. And there's people that come down the trail and they're like, we just got to the trailhead to walk up, and they're like, don't even bother. Like, don't even go up there. It's like, it looks terrible. Like, you can't see anything.
Mm-hmm.
And, my wife, at first, she was like, well, I guess we could go back to the car or whatever. I was like, no, fuck that.
Yeah.
I was like, I need to see with my own two eyes.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, that's a great point.
And, dude, going up there was one of the most magical parts of our trip.
Absolutely.
Like working our way up through these like rows of evergreen trees, and then all of a sudden all of a sudden walk out and it's just moss covered rocks, and it's like all wet, and it was like something out of the Never-Ending Story or something. It was like it was this totally romantic, like magical, like the mist blowing through there and everything, and like. If we'd have just turned around and went back to our car, like we totally missed that experience.
Absolutely,
like,
absolutely.
And it only got better the further we went. Like the further we got up to the top, it just like got better and better and better. And then we got up there and we had that moment that you were talking about where we're just like, we were laughing, dude.
Yeah,
we were just giggling because it was like it was such a good moment. It was just like making us so happy, and we were like. Frolicking around, bouncing around on this like mossy grass in between the Old Manor store, and it was just like, dude, you just gotta go through that fog. You have to like go into the unknown,
exactly,
and find what's there, because chances are it's gonna be an awesome experience.
Absolutely,
you're gonna think back and be like, yeah, I'm glad I did this. I should have done it sooner. I'm gonna do this again somewhere else.
Dude, that was a great point, dude. Like going on, even like, dude, it reminds me of my time. One time, dude. So quick short story, dude. I'm not trying to go crazy. So, dude, sometimes, like you say, like sometimes you're like, oh, this is gonna be a great experience, but sometimes it's not. So, for example, I was hiking in Oregon somewhere in the gorge. And literally, I was walking the trail, and I was like, well, then I just turn to the right. There's no trail, just straight woods, and it's going up straight to the mountain, top of a hill / mountain, whatever. I was like, wow, that'd be a great picture if I get from that point of view down to the valley. I'm like, cool. But there's no trail, it's straight bush. Oregon is very like green, evergreen trees, bush, go through. It's an elevation, so it's like, it's rough to get. So I was like, whatever, if I could just do it. Just trying to get the amazing picture. So I climbed there. I keep climbing. Dude, it was painful. I keep climbing. I was like, I'm not gonna quit now. At this point, you're gonna keep going. Keep moving. Like an hour later, I'm gonna keep going up. So I climbed this like tree fell out. I tried to climb it. I fell off 6 foot of it. Whatever. I kept going up. Climbed this thing. Oh, there's rocks. Literally, I'm like climbing the rocks now at this point, full of moss, and just trying to not fall backwards because it'd be bad for me. I get to the top point, which is like, damn, this is kind of scary here. I get there and I look at the valley. It's nothing but forest. You can't see the coastline, the river. I'm like, wow, this view kind of nothing that I expected. Now I'm like looking down, like how am I gonna get down? Like because climbing up is obviously easier. Because you pack and I have my backpack too. Now, so you fly against the ground climbing up, and then you have to go climb backwards with unstable rocks and full of covered moss and stuff. So it's loose rock. So it's pretty dangerous. I mean, I was like, and then the fear took over me. I was like, fuck, how did I get down? I was like, dude, because nobody knows where I'm at. First of all, I was like, I have nothing except barely a little bit, maybe like quarter of a liter of water. No rope, no nothing, just my camera and my tripod, and that's it. I was like, well, I can't get stuck here because my friends would, if I get stuck here, obviously the only way you'll find me here and ever, because I'm literally off the beaten path. But then at that point, you're like, well, have to go down. So you just take a big breath. You're like, calm yourself down. Just, all right, here you go. Just started trying to figure out going down. And so I made it home safely. I made it down safely. But even from that experience, even though it was nothing great view, it was still a high elevation view of the trees and stuff and forest surrounded me.
Yeah.
But nothing that what I imagine, like beautiful, like down like valley, Columbia River and mountains and the gorge, which is Oregon, is beautiful. So I make it back, and finally I make it back. I'm like, oh, thank God I didn't die. But even from that experience, like you said, dude, like unknown. If you don't take that path, I'll probably learn more about myself, and again, like the triggering this self-discipline, self-belief, courage, not quitting, not surrendering to your fears, or your mind's like, oh no, this is dangerous. You should stay here. Like your mind's like freaking out. You might fall off and break your bones and die. You have to calm yourself, overcome. And I learned from that more from the climb. But first of all, prepare myself better, have more gear.
Yeah.
But also just on my own personal feelings, like where I'm standing as like my pushing with the envelope. So it's like my pushing, like my fears, my drives, my endurance, just overall just mentality. And like I said, like if I never done that, the point of the story is like if I never took a trip, I would never have the same mentality, but I learn from it. So it's like you said, it's like sometimes, most of the time, all the time you should take. Obviously, if it's safe, some places you shouldn't do it. But obviously, if it's you calling you, if it tells you inside like you should do it, and you have common sense about things, you should do it. You learn from it more than you expected, or you will ever not to do it. Yeah.
Dude, this has been an awesome podcast. Yeah. Let's wrap it up.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Man, we've covered like so much
I know
gold material for like if you ever had second thoughts about travel, hopefully you don't after this, you know?
Yeah. Well, if I can finish with this, I want to say, dude, when I say travel, I'm not saying that traveling requires a lot of money. Obviously, it requires time and some money, but it's less. I think about traveling things about like rich people traveling, or you have to have time and value. Obviously, you do have to have time, but it's not really traveling. It's not just going to like Europe and stuff. I mean, you can start traveling just going to your neighborhood, going to your forest, going to with your friends to just like a hills, a farm somewhere different. Yeah. Just go somewhere different.
Somewhere in the city that has some history that you haven't seen.
Something different. That's your environment, basically. That is, and you'll learn more about them, and probably more about yourself than anything.
Yeah.
So money is not the value. It's you're learning about yourself is the value in traveling. So that's my 2 point.
And I would follow that up with, I mean, there's something that I learned about is if you do have a skill or a job, there's a site where you can like find where you can do that job in a different country. So you may not be able to just go there and like have all free time, which I mean, honestly, sometimes you get bored. You don't have anything to do, you know?
Skills,
But you just go and live in the country for a while and work a job there. If you have a skill you can bring to the table. So
absolutely.
There's that option. I mean, there's plenty of ways you can approach it to even achieve that, you know, for some people is that unreachable goal of like, oh, I just always want to travel abroad. It's like, well, do it. Like there are ways to do it
works
like
out.
On a budget or save up, like, you know,
or just go and
make it a priority. Yeah.
Absolutely. That was
or just decide to hitchhike your way there. Jump on a ship. Like
a lot of people do.
Yeah. But yeah, dude, this has been a really good podcast. I mean, I feel challenged, you know, just by hearing your experience and your travels, and like it's cool hearing like some of the stories, and it's just it reminds me of those magical moments and the times that I've traveled, and like how important those are, dude. It's important for us to have those in our life, and at least I think so for me.
Yeah,
Like
I
I think it's important for me to have that in my life to bring about balance and like make it a fulfilling life for me. And so I would really challenge other people to get outside of your comfort zone. I'm gonna find ways to get outside of my comfort zone, which could get kind of dangerous because I already get pretty far out there. But maybe not too risky. But I just want to finish up and say that, dude, I think it's awesome you decided to stay like with me in my house. You know, like I really enjoyed having you here and going to like show you some of, you know, the local culture and stuff like that. But something that's been really important to me over the last couple of years is something I pulled from the Poetic Edda, written by Snorri Sturluson. It's basically like the passed down oral history of the Nordic culture, which I'm a descendant of, and in the Hávamál, which is kind of like the proverbs of this, like life lessons that come from it, because a lot of religions have this.
Yeah,
and there's this one line that really spoke to me, or one proverb, and it goes something like this: "A true friend whom you trust well and wish for his goodwill, go to him often, exchange gifts, and keep his company." And with that, I'm going to give you a gift.
Oh, dude.
So this is a Thor's hammer, and it's a fire striker. So it's kind of like a story within a story. The same deployment that we were on together, I wore the Thor's hammer into battle, and we went on patrols together. And so it's that history of that bond we have together, but it's also I use it as a symbol of carrying my fire with me. Like, I believe every man should be able to start a fire wherever he goes for survival reasons, right? But it's also like carrying the fire in your heart with you. Absolutely. And being able to start and ignite that fire whenever you need it. And so I just wanted you to have that. And the cool thing about this proverb is I think it's more than just like physical gifts. Like you brought me gifts too, like physical gifts too. Awesome T-shirt. I would wear it tonight, but I like spilled some food on it. But people will have to see it later. It's an awesome shirt. But it's more than the physical gifts. Like this is an awesome symbol to me, and I want to share like kind of that story with others. But and also one more meaning to that is the Norse used to wear it on their chainmail. And when you'd come across another guy in battle, because often they fought against each other, like, and a guy died a good, you killed a guy and you found a Thor's hammer on, you take it and put it on your chainmail. So when you died, you'd meet him in the afterlife, and he'd see his hammer on you, and you'd recognize each other and be able to like share in that bond. And that's one of the reasons I wore it in Afghanistan. It was a sign of respect to the guys we were fighting and saying, hey, I respect you for fighting me, like coming to the battlefield, and we may be in conflict right now, but I'm hoping there's a time where this will be rectified. Whether that's between our countries, between like people, or the time space continuum, like. Hopefully something good comes of us meeting here on this battlefield, and it's not just that. And so that's another like kind of history meaning behind it. I know you like history, but
absolutely,
yeah, dude, I really enjoyed it, and look forward to doing some more.
Absolutely. Well, Daniel, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. You're welcome. We welcome hospitality in Dallas, Texas. You open your house for me, and then spending our time together, just doing art and stuff for sure, talking about a lot of things about life and a variety of things, and giving this gift for sure. It's has a lot of meaning for sure, which I very grateful. And the biggest thing I guess from all of this is like, I'm probably quoting senior quote. You can say you have lived a good life if you can count 5 friends on your hand.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to hope, and I would say that you're one of those friends of my life. So I really appreciate it.
That's awesome.
Having you in my life for sure. Even though we haven't spent a lot of time in the past per se for the last year probably, but friends like us, friends you find like friends like us, and by different homies, and where you call them up and you drive from there and they open their house for you and they're like, I'm here for you, dude. Like, let's hang out, dude. Like, no matter what, like it's, and you catch up on life and things like that. And you just, I know we're all busy in life and stuff, but when you have that, spend a little bit moment together again and resharpen our swords, I guess, in the sense of a brotherhood and just as a man in general, and share these moments like this again, it's like, wow, all right, life is good. You know what I'm saying? Like when you have a few good friends where you can talk about deep stuff like this and you're like, it's good. And thank God, being like, thank God, dude, I get the opportunity to be here. And if I didn't get the chance to travel, I would probably never have experienced this moment. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I really appreciate this gift, and I hope everybody else has the opportunity to share this moments like this with you and with other people too. Thank you.
Awesome, dude. Thanks for joining me, dude.
Thanks, brother.